Hello everyone, welcome back to Doomlink's Live Hunts. I don't know if we have a fourth player. Things have been a little cruisy. I've just been getting ready for this live stream while playing the game normally. Well, I suppose it wasn't perfectly seamless. I did have to take some time away from the previous hunt to get things set up, but yeah. I wasn't initially intending to record today. I was just going to play in my own time, but then I thought, no, I really should record. It has been some time. So I'm doing that now. Just letting someone know in the Hunsterverse chat that I am currently live, only because they did ask before. Relax, guys. The reason why I haven't departed is because I'm just checking to see if there's a fourth. I'll let them know in the chat. My protocol at the moment is going to be to keep the on-screen chat button there to communicate with people. You know, this is not exactly helpful. Nope. Well, we don't know until we check, you know. I'm going to check. Relax, man. This is what I mean. So I'm going to head into the Discord. Come on, capture it. Oh, that's why it's not showing up. Here we go. Alright. I'm going to say departing in 2 minutes. I'll give them, you know, a prospective hunter who may or may not be reading. I've given them 2 minutes to make their decision. Obviously, it'll be extended if they express an interest. You know, it's like 2 minutes within which to express an interest in joining, and then at that point, you know, we sit there and wait. If it starts to get unreasonable, then we'll just depart without them and they can join for the next one. But there is a loose window of 2 minutes within which to get in here. Yeah, we are back in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. I, like I said, was actually just playing in my own time, and thought that it would be good to share this experience with you. It's just the same as always, random hunts. And, who's Maria again? I do recognize that name. It's Wine. Okay, Wine has joined. Yes, good. I may not actually wait for 2 minutes, maybe closer to 1 minute. I don't want these guys to get too restless. Alright, so let me, in this time, set up my inventory. You can just see that they're a little antsy. You can see it in how they move their characters. People who aren't antsy generally don't move their characters around all that much. They may move occasionally, but when they are constantly moving, it's an indication of impatience. That's the way I see it. Okay, I've got some stuff in here that I can take. That is to say, coatings. It's good to buy them, but you also don't want to be accumulating excess. When I say excess, I mean stuff that hasn't actually been used in a hunt, that you've put away at the end of the hunt, and then you just keep on buying from the shop. It's a little silly, isn't it? So, I mean, it makes sense to try and conserve this stuff, but if you're never going to use it and you're instead just going to buy stuff instead of using what you've stored, it's a little odd. Okay, or it's lazy. Intellectually lazy. Let's get out of here. I'm not going to drink a hot drink. It's not necessary. I'm just going to get out of the environment where a hot drink is required. We just started the hunt. Come on, man. What's going on? Maybe he outlined a reason in the chat for disconnecting? We can find out. No. No, he didn't say anything about it. Wine saying continue on. Why continue on? I don't particularly want to two-man this thing. I guess he's saying that he's not coming back, or that... When I say continue on, that's what he said in the Hunsterverse chat. The reason why this is annoying is because I don't particularly want to two-man. It's a single monster, so it's got full health. It's not like a double quest with reduced health for the monsters. And, yeah, I'm using a bow. Bow is just generally not that strong, so it's going to be a long hunt. It's going to be a little frustrating. I would rather regroup, to be honest. Is anyone else? No, there's really no one else around. We did have May before. You will have seen May in previous recordings. But he actually disappeared just before we started this. I'm tempted to just quit because basically Wine says continue on. What that tells me is that he's having network instability that he doesn't foresee resolving itself anytime soon. And yeah, that's very annoying. Things rarely go smoothly in these recordings, do they? But you know what? In the interest of actually doing something, instead of not doing something, I'm going to two-man this fucking Gravios with this guy. I don't have Psycho Serums, that's usually not a problem, but it happens to be at this moment in time. Here we go. So Gravios has moved into this area. I do tend to prefer fighting him here rather than that previous area we were just in, where he usually starts, well, where he always starts. I do not know why my character was continuously shooting the bow. Because you could see that I was holding the, or at least, well, you wouldn't have been able to see it. I was holding the L button, right, which is supposed to bring up the menu, which changes the function of the triangle button, but no, the game was just like, no, you're simply not pressing the L button. Anyway, what I was trying to say was that the starting area for Gravios is quite small for a monster of this size, but this area is a little more spacious. Anyone who may be talking in the Twitch chat, I do apologize for the fact that I can't read it right now. I'm going to organize myself so that I can read it momentarily, but it had escaped my mind that was something I had to set up. Okay. I will check chat history in case anyone has been talking. We've got yells, Bread Jesus. Oh, shut up! I'm telling myself to shut up. It was just playing through my phone. Yells, Bread Jesus, Simply Roam. And that's what we've got. Glad to see that you made it in early as well, Simply Roam. Let me now get back to the fucking game. It's not great when we're two-manning and I'm not actually participating in the confrontation. It really doesn't fucking help. He's flashbombing Gravios. Okay. I actually don't even know if that's effective or not. I'm going to assume that it's not effective because you've just said RIP in response to that. So, yeah, I'm not too sure what the effect is going to be. Couldn't really see much of anything there, but apparently I did successfully evade it. Like I said, I'm not happy that I'm using a bow here when we're two-manning. I'd rather have something that deals more damage. Oh, okay, it goes up to Pierce level 5. That's good to know. I've forgotten that a racer could do that. I'm probably going to settle for 4 for the most part. As in level 4 charge. But if I end up needing to hold it for longer like this, it will give me more damage. That's a good thing. That's generally how I treat level 5 charges that remain the same shot type as the level 4, just an upgraded version. I don't rely on them purely, but I do make use of them rightly. Because you can see right there I was making adjustments, so I needed to hold it for longer anyway. Oh yeah, just a little fun thing with Gravios, whenever you try to avoid the sweeping beam, go towards the right, because there is actually a window where the laser beam has not fully escaped the mouth, and so you can generally evade to some level of effect, as demonstrated right there. Thank you, Gravios, for illustrating my point for me, or at least assisting me in illustrating that point. The mobility of bow is obviously very good with Gravios, it's just when I am two-manning, using a low damage weapon type is not all that fun. It's just because I don't like really long hunts. I don't like 15+ minute hunts. Which this may turn out to be. I mean, he might be perfectly capable of using that weapon. He's using a good weapon. It's Atlantica, which is the best of the water longswords. So maybe we are in good stead to quickly dispatch the monster. I'm a little concerned about well, it's not really a matter of being concerned. I'm not going to have enough coatings to complete the hunt while using coatings the entire time. That's obvious. I wish I had brought combinations, but it's no use crying over spilled milk, as they say. I hate it when he does his little walk. The thing with his walk, depending on who he's targeting, let's say for example he's doing his little walk towards you. The only way to really stop him is to get within range of his tail and then evade back out, because he's doing his little walk so that he can swing his tail at you. It's very annoying. See this? Sometimes you can still evade it if you get within range, but because if you use that strategy that I've just outlined, you can see it coming. You know the tail swing is imminent, but sometimes you still can't get through it, as evidenced by my previous failure. Yeah, this guy is really throwing some flash bombs. It might be helpful. I'm not actually seeing flash bombs causing a negative effect. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, so Yell said that when you flash bomb, sometimes he just roars the whole time. And it seems like that is common. Oh my god. I don't mind if he's not going to roar. I really don't mind. He's doing the angry run. That's how you know he's leaving the area. He runs, or walks. Angry walk. It's just entertaining because it looks as if he's throwing a tantrum of sorts. I'm out of here. Yeah, bowgun would have been much nicer. That's not good. What's the point, man? That's the thing. You have to be disciplined in your positioning when it comes to this monster. Because if you're like me, and you are ranged, you probably don't have the defense to take one of those lasers. So, yeah. At least I have an ancient potion on hand. I'm happy to see that. But yeah, you just have to try and be ready to dodge to the right and pretty much be in line with the monster from the front or to the right at all times. If you're off to the left, you just can't get out of the way, unfortunately. Maybe you can try to evade through it, like actually turn yourself in the direction of the laser, thus reducing the amount of iframes required, or I guess the timing required. Reduce the timing. You understand what I mean. When you evade into something, it's easier to evade through it. I'm going to explain why that's the case. It just is. There's a logic associated with it. Oh, my camera is being unruly. I got a flinch out of him. Sadly, we are out of coatings. We have broken the chest. Single break. But that doesn't really encourage me. You get the fuck away from me. It turns out he also does that slow walk to perform hip checks. See, I'm not following my own advice. I need to be ready to evade to the right. Sometimes I can identify when he's doing a sweeping beam, and other times I can't. It just depends on what I'm looking at the time. There is an indication, and to be honest, I couldn't even tell you precisely what it is. It's just a slight difference in the way that he moves between doing a unidirectional beam and a sweeping beam. That Remobra just took all of my fucking arrow piercings. Not quite what I was going for there. I suppose one scenario which would have been worse than this one is me bringing a bowgun with ammunition for a 3-man hunt and then actually only having enough for that. Let me rephrase that for goodness sake. Not having enough ammunition for a 2-man hunt because I had prepared for a 3-man hunt. Under those circumstances, this would have been a whole lot more painful. At least here, I can keep shooting endlessly and still be assured of the fact that I'm dealing good damage. It's not as good as it could be, but it's fine. Ugh. Right. I'm close range, so that's not problematic. What's problematic is being stuck between this monster and the wall. I really don't want that. Yep, we've got a trap down. Not as easy as you might think with Gravios, because he does have a ranged attack. Monsters with ranged attacks tend to do them a lot when you're standing in front of them in this game. The Piscine Wyverns are the same. Had a fucking tree in my way there. Speaking of things being in my way, if this fucking Remobra could go away, that would be excellent. To be honest, if I'm getting Pierce level 5 out of the 5th charge, I should be going for that. It's one thing if it's level 4 for both the 4th and 5th charge, because while you are still going to get increased damage from the higher charge level, it's, you know, not as big of a deal because the shot level doesn't change, but if the charge level increases as well as the shot level, it's probably better to go for that. Which is now what I'm doing. I've decided that DPS is probably not going to wind up being better than just increased damage in the case of PS5 and... That's one way to limp out of the area. Could go for the capture if we would like to. I don't really think we need to worry about that. Technically, we are one feint away from failure, but I'm not foreseeing a risk of failure, necessarily. I am now. If this guy fucking... He wouldn't do that, would he? No, he wouldn't do that. I might. Oh shit, get away from me. Okay, that's it. We need to capture this thing. That's what I've officially decided. We're one death away from failure. There's no good reason for us to be failing, to be honest. So I'd like to get this prick in a trap and just capture him. I'm not doing this quest for materials. I don't have a specific material in mind, so let's just shorten the length of the hunt. This Remobra is making me want to just completely lose my composure. Sometimes putting a trap down for this monster is really quite difficult, as you can fucking see. It depends on the monster as to whether or not it's ideal to place the trap close to the monster. This one is an example of one that you probably don't want to do that for. I'm actually putting myself in harm's way by trying to put the trap down close to him. That's precisely what I shouldn't be doing. Can you please turn around, get in this damn thing? Let's go, mate. I just keep seeing the both of us losing a whole lot of health, so better to play it safe. I don't often capture Gravios now that I think about it. That's a rare sight. May as well show it off. So cute. Oof. It's hard to demonstrate when there's a fucking tree right there. Sleeps with his eyes open, of course. Get Good is kicking me. I don't know if he's displeased with the fact that we captured it, but get your wing out of the way. I'm trying to demonstrate the wide-eyed sleeping posture of the monster. Anyway, it's hard to demonstrate things around here. I'm gonna have a look in the chat to see if anyone wants to play. I was asking if anyone wanted to play, and Decker quite helpfully said, not me, which is astounding. Normally he says, I'm on my way, and then doesn't come. And he does that intentionally and routinely. He's changed his tack. To what end, I don't know. Maybe he's actually going to join because he said that, I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen him play Freedom Unite. That would be extraordinary. It seems that Wine is back. He's in the room, presumably ready to hum, and that's a good thing. It did take us about 15 minutes. It could have been faster. I felt that I wasn't playing as well as I could have been, so there you go. Maybe I was being dramatic by saying, oh, I don't want a two-man, etc., etc. I don't want to do TY, I want to do random hunt. I've already done friendship points. Nargacuga, the ever-present shadow. I have been given sword and shield to use, but I will not use it, because I'd like to focus on heavy bowgun, bow, and hunting horn for weapon uses today. If I use something different, it will be to provide some kind of variety for my audience, which at this stage is not necessary. I am now letting people know that there is one space in the room, as opposed to two, which I suspected to be the case. Hopefully Wine has organised himself. What would I like to use for this? I don't really want to use bow again, because I actually used bow in the hunt that took place off camera before the previous one, so that means twice in a row I've used bow now. For my sake, I actually need a little bit of variety, so how about we use hunting horn? We'll bring the Volcano Alfhorn, which is a fun hunting horn, because it looks a lot like a Lavazioth, but also not at all like a Lavazioth. Hold on, it is not the case that we've eaten. Which is a weird way to phrase that, but I started my sentence in an incompatible way and had to do some gymnastics to make the start of the sentence work. Anyway. I think we got Ultra Lucky Cat twice, which means that my skills are probably not great for my cats. I don't really care so much, and quite frankly, Ultra Lucky Cat is not a great skill in this game. It doesn't make much of a difference, from what I've heard, at least. Alright, we do have 4 people. I don't know if it's 4 people that can play, but I do know that there are 4 people here, at least 3 of which can play. I don't know if I should do 2 Nargacugas, because I don't know if one of these people is gonna, you know, be a hero and fucking solo one of them, because that's not what I'm playing this game for. I want to hunt with others. And the main reason why at this stage is because I'm using a hunting horn. It is something that I want to use to benefit the whole team, not like one other guy and myself. That's ridiculous. Okay. What would be the better? Let's just go to the Great Forest. We've already seen the old swamp. Get Good has left, presumably to organize himself. But yeah, shit like that really grinds my gears, as they say. It cheeses me off. Those are two phrases I literally never use. You know, if I'm using something like a hunting horn or some kind of support setup that is designed to increase the damage of the team, and in having equipped that loadout, I've actually reduced my personal damage output, because naturally, if I'm facilitating increased DPS for the team, that means to balance things out a little bit, I need to deal less damage. You know, under those circumstances, it's extremely frustrating when people want to split into two fucking teams. That's not the point. You know, I need to actually assist everyone here, not just one other guy and myself. But people are generally not sensitive to things like that. They play how they want, and tough shit. And that's usually how it goes. I like how I'm already getting upset. I'm getting pre-angry, if that makes sense. It's not like it's actually happened. It looks like Audion's trying to join. I would like for him to be able to join, but I don't think there is any availability right now. Living Croc, his name is. He's got a different name. I think he's Get Good, isn't he? Get Good? I think so. He still needs to join. Let me just inspect the status of the room. Just want to see who the fuck is here. Jordai. So I'm going to ask Living Croc if he's still playing. I'm asking this question because I can see that Audion's trying to play as well, because he peeked in there. So usually when people peek, they do it because, you know, they want to see what's going on with the hall, because they actually want to join. As for why it said that there were 5 people who were trying to play, I've got no idea. Seemed like a bit of a mess. Would like to get a response from that guy. I'm sure he'll respond eventually. One can only hope. Again, for those who are wondering why I'm live streaming at this time of day, it is a public holiday today. We celebrate the history of our armed forces today. Which is fine. I tend to spend that time doing other things, but that's just me. Well, Nordio is, or Audion, whatever you want to say. He is typing. I'm tempted to just... yeah, snipe, man. Seriously. What do you mean, Arcs? Where is Arcs? He's not here, is he? I don't think so. I don't get him. That guy literally dropped off the face of the earth. He was in the room, and then he disappeared and is unresponsive, so I'm just going to ask if Audion wants to hunt. That's alright. It's generally ideal to try and get a consistent group of 4 invest some time into getting that, and then departing and then getting a few solid hunts in where you don't have to spend a lot of time in between hunts trying to organize things. That's the way I see it. I don't mind investing that time once and then getting some quick hunts after that. Audion's going to join. We'll see what Tegar wants to do. I don't care if Tegar gets sick of waiting and decides to leave. Genuinely don't care. Hand on heart, couldn't give a shit. So that's over to him. As for that living croc guy, though. He has now finally responded by saying that he is done. So I'm glad that I made that call when I did. I don't know if Audion actually knew what we were hunting. It is obviously Nargacuga. It's a long wait just to, you know, do Nargacuga. Mario's wine, by the way. If I'm ever referring to people by names that are not actually on the screen at all, I can only apologize, I guess. Blame these people who decide that it's appropriate to have multiple names. You see, but he's obviously misunderstanding the meaning of unresponsive. Hold on. Did he ever say that he had finished and that he had something to do? I don't think so, right? No, he never said anything. This is what he said. He did the big smile emote. Is that, to his way of thinking, a sufficiently expressive intention of not actually rejoining the room? Anyway. It's not really up for debate. You were unresponsive. I messaged you and asked you if you were still playing, and you did not respond. That means you are unresponsive. You also did not give notice of your intention to stop hunting. So it's not like that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that he has to keep us in the loop all the time. You know, sometimes things suddenly come up and you need to leave the game or not continue hunting. It obviously happens. It's reasonable. But it's not up for debate as to whether or not you were responsive. So he says, whatever, have a good hunt. Indeed. He would probably misunderstand and think that I take issue with the fact that he was unresponsive, which isn't true. He's now apologizing for the cart. I don't... well, I also died, so I don't really know why he's apologizing for it. Okay. Let's go. Ethan... It's getting to the point where every single time you... It feels this way. It feels that every single time you join the chat, you resub, which suggests to me that it's about once a month that you check in, which is... it's not something that I criticize you for in any way. It's just it's a sad commentary on how infrequently we can interact with one another, whether it be through a live stream or verbally in a one-on-one voice chat. But anyway, so we are doing single Nargacuga, which is my way of ensuring that I can actually use this hunting horn effectively. Speaking of using this hunting horn effectively, I don't remember the songs, sorry. I'm going to try. Let me think about it for a moment. I'll do self-improvement to start with. What would it be? Would it be yellow, yellow, red, or something like that? I don't know. Got no fucking idea. Let's try. What's this? Is this red? Let's try red, yellow, yellow. How about that? See what this does. That's defense up. Okay. There's fire res. Oh, this is fucking brilliant. I don't even know my songs for this horn. I'm going to have to check. It's embarrassing that I should have done that from the start. It's quite ironic that I sit here complaining about me being able to assist the entire team with my horn, and then I get into the quest and I don't actually remember the songs. I was expecting to remember, but then I did that thing where I used my brain and tried to remember, and I came up with nothing. So, hunting horn song sheet, freedom unite. You get up here immediately onto my screen. I don't know what's going on in the game. It's just volcanic Alf horn. Alf horn. So it's purple, red, red for attack, and that's all I really need to worry about. Red and yellow is helpful. Purple, red, red. That's not something that I should forget. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm contributing now. No, we want to go this way, come on. Alright, defense more powerful. It's still, you know, an increase on defense low, so it's not amazing, but that attack up is what's most important. I need to do a bit more work with self-improvement here. Don't have ESP yet. Can you get the fuck away from me? I shouldn't have lined up with Tega. I was expecting that to hit me. Fully expecting that to hit me. Oh my god. Again, it doesn't matter if I'm hitting the monster infrequently. Well, I suppose it does matter. It's better to be able to contribute as the hunting horn user by hitting the monster. It's good, but obviously the majority of the damage that I'm dealing is through my teammates. I'm quite sure that it's when the monster is enraged that you can get him in the trap. Oh shit, he's gonna break it. Yeah, so that's the danger. Sometimes he can actually leave his rage mode and then destroy the trap. The way I remember it is through the fact that you can actually trigger his rage mode by throwing a sonic bomb. Now, the way that makes sense to me is that there is a benefit to getting him into rage mode, and that is to get him in a trap. You can actually do that on command if you have sonic bombs on hand. So, yeah, that's how I memorized that. And he's dead. Well, that was an engaging hunt. Didn't get to see a whole lot of anything, actually. It was a bit of me playing music and standing still while observing a song sheet off camera. But, yeah. Oh. No. My random reaction was from reading the Monsterverse chat. There was an abrupt "go away, dude" that was said to Arx. He responded with a crying, sad cat. Alright. I probably should organize the next hunt now. If the fucking cooldown has finished, alright. It is Her Eternal Majesty, Rathian. I don't mind that. A standard Rathian is not something you always do in this game. It's not a common monster to see put on the board, so I don't mind doing it. Usually if you... almost invariably if you've got a group of 4, you will kill that monster in no time at all, but anyway. We won't talk about that. There's nothing that I can do about it, really. The solution, I suppose, is not to hunt with 4 people, but I do actually enjoy that. So, what am I to do? What would be fun to use? How about I use normal heavy bowgun for a change? The thing with normal heavy bowgun, and it's rather awkward, it's that I do have a gun that's dedicated to normal bowgun, and it's the Vor Buster. But the thing is, it's considerably weaker than this gun. It's actually nothing, like, hold on, what? It's the fast reload speed that I guess is good about the Vor Buster. That's the only thing. Do you really think that the increased DPS from the reload speed is actually going to account for that difference in attack? It may do, actually, because now that I look at it, the difference between 535 and 588 is not that big because we're actually dealing in raw damage, not raw damage, we're dealing in inflated damage numbers, which means that difference is not as strong, or not as great. So, let me look at this briefly. So, Vor Busters using attack up medium. Yep, that's what we want. This is not the complete set, by the way. I need to actually equip a decoration. So yeah, we'll use this. A finely aged taste. I don't actually remember where the jewel is. It's a flying jewel, and I can't remember where I'd take it out of and put it back in, but we're gonna see if I can remember. I think... Is it Sienna? No. It's somewhere. Flying jewel. I just need to find a flying jewel. I believe it's from one waste piece into another waste piece. It was something as simple as that. So I saw a jumping jewel, but I need a flying jewel, wherever that is. There it is. So it's the Silver Soul Code Z. I'm going to take that out of there and then put that into, I believe, this one, right? Oh, Scheissenhausen. That's actually not what we want. Okay, let's, I hate this. This is one thing that I absolutely despise about second generation Monster Hunter. Yes, equip it to... Don't equip that, you... No words are appropriate, quite frankly. Let's remove something from the chest. There is, I think it's the Gravios Vest Z. Okay, Gravios Vest Z. So it wasn't the waist piece, it was the fucking chest piece. Oh my god. How am I supposed to remember things like this? Do you know how many Monster Hunter games I play? Christ. Now I need to go and fix this crap. Here we go. It's fucking 5 hours of getting ready for this hunt, because this game does not save your decorations to your armor set. You have to actually manually equip them here and there. Oh look, this is cute. I mean, what's going on? I mean, unless he has actually posted the quest. If he's posted the quest, then that's good of him to do. I don't know if that guy is actually keeping track of what's being posted. If it's G3... Oh, for God's sake. We're not doing that quest, mate. We're doing Rathian. That's the situation. It's not an occasion for you to post your own thing. I knew he wasn't keeping track. I was just rather surprised to see Orion just mindlessly join up on this random guy's quest. But anyway. It's over to him. There is no democracy here. This is the situation. I am the room host, and if there is an uprising, I will kick people, I don't mind. But, yeah. I will bring normal level 2 and combination materials for normal level 2. Would Descendants of the King be a more fun monster than single Rathian? Depends on how you look at it. I would say not, because I've done a whole lot of Descendants of the King, but not a whole lot of single Rathian. I mean, I've done plenty of single Rathian in this game, but it's more fun to do something like this. At least for me. So huskberries and needleberries. Here we go. No, not scatternuts. For goodness sake. There we go. It's crickets in the chat, Ethan. But that's alright. I like being able to use this bowgun as well. But I have decided, to be honest, that, that can't be right. I seem to remember that I was well into the 600s with that other, like well into the 600s with the Lao Shanlong heavy bowgun, so why was it... I don't know. Maybe that's correct. I'll have to inspect that. I'm happy with the Vor cannon for now. Rathian is so well camouflaged that I didn't even notice her. Oh, one thing that I was supposed to do, and I have neglected to do this, is I was supposed to actually monitor the game volume. I think I'm okay with it, it's not too bad. The fact that I haven't been monitoring it hasn't actually caused any terrible issue, but I'm actually going to lower it slightly though. Alright. Now back to the game. I swear that Bullfango just did a football dive. That's what it looked like. He was just standing there doing nothing and then threw himself in the air and died. Oh my god, body blocking. Reload. Well, I would have had a better opportunity to hit that head, it's just that Orion was in the way, which isn't a bad thing, it's just... oh god. A body blocking would have helped there, I was expecting someone to take that fireball. And I think someone did, it's just the second one did end up hitting me, which was upsetting. Let's get this shiny while it's here. Heavenly Scale? No. Here we go, that's a good... paralysis? Oh dear. Naturally, the problem with normal shots is that you can't expect it to actually pierce through your teammates. If a teammate body blocks the shot, that's it. It does not actually go to the monster. Lag compensation may allow it to do so, but I wouldn't want to be purely reliant on that. I want to at least visually see it on my screen. One nasty thing with lag compensation, and I don't know if this is a myth or not, it's something that I've been hearing for some time in the Freedom Unite community. And I don't know if it's true, but it may make sense. It's not so much a matter of lag compensation in these games, it's more a matter of what the host sees. So if you hit the monster in a way that actually misses it on your screen but damage is dealt, that, I believe, means that on the host's screen it did make contact. That's possible. But there is actually a more concerning implication when it comes to this. What hits on your screen may not actually be guaranteed to hit on the host's screen, which means that just because you saw your weapon make contact with the monster. Doesn't mean damage was dealt. Now, if that's possible, that's fucked up, and I'm not happy to hear that. I would actually take more comfort in the idea that that's just an old wives' tale, it's a myth, it's not confirmed. But if it is true, that's really sad. And I'm not happy to hear that at all. That's why I haven't mentioned it before. But I'd rather pretend that that doesn't exist. I'd much rather that. Alright. Let's carve a hairy female. I wasn't even close to needing combination materials. I don't know why I went to the trouble of bringing them, but I suppose I was underestimating the team, something like that. Alright. This guy's beating on the corpse of the monster. But yeah, like I said, I enjoy getting some use out of the Black Fatalis heavy bowgun. You don't often see it. I enjoy unconventional weapon choices. It doesn't mean I don't typically use what I judge to be the best weapon in its category, so I'll actually go through the list, find what to me is the best, let's say, thunder dual blades or the best fire hammer and use that. I do typically do that, it's just that it is definitely nice to have a strange weapon choice. Something that you wouldn't typically see. Alright. What is next in the random hunt? Lao Shan Lung? Do we really want to do that? You know what? I'm going to veto that, because I've done enough Lao Shan Lung on camera. I wouldn't actually mind doing it. It's just that I've done too much Lao Shan Lung on camera, so no more, thank you. You guys get the point. It's a fucking monster that's walking around and you shoot it. Or attack it, I guess. Yeah, didn't even need to request a reroll there. Descendants of the King. What an extraordinary coincidence. That's what was placed on the board before. I'm happy to do it if it's been selected. He's been told to use the Gavas fan. Oh. What's it? Oh god. Was he re-rolling for himself? Or, I guess rolling for himself or re-rolling for me, I don't know. But yeah, it's turning into a bit of a mess in the channel when so many people are using that command. Now, we will head to the... May as well go to the feline kitchen, get our eating over and done with. Because that guy did the random hunt command, there may be some confusion as to what we're going to do next, but it is going to be Descendants of the King, and I will use something appropriate for that. I'll use the Lao Shan Lung heavy bowgun with my elemental loadout, which quite frustratingly will require the moving, the juggling around of a decoration again, which pisses me right off. But the reason why I do this, in case you're curious, is because it actually requires Black Fatalis materials in order to forge a flying jewel, and that's annoying. I may actually see if I can forge one. If I can forge one now, and it might be possible, because I do seem to recall that I recently killed a Black Fatalis, so maybe I'll try that. Let's create decoration flying jewel. If I can make one, you better fucking believe I'm gonna make it. I don't think I really need... No, oh, it's silver Garuga pelt. 3 of them. God. What a nightmare. Silver Garuga pelt isn't too hard to make. It's just that... Or too hard to get. It's just that you do need a specific strategy for it. Something that's quite consistently hitting the back. Alright. What was the quest again? Descendants of the King. Alright. So, do I want to bring combination materials? It shouldn't be necessary. Usually you shouldn't need combination materials. Put antidotes away. Alright, so I'm going to bring water shots and thunder shots. I'll use thunder on Rathian, water on Rathalos. Now with Descendants of the King, I used to use a different strategy with Descendants of the King. What I would do is I would aim for Rathian first, because Rathian is more problematic than Rathalos when you're fighting both at the same time. The reason why is because Rathian is constantly running around on the ground, whereas sometimes Rathalos is just flying around aimlessly, sort of trying to hit you with fireballs but failing. But it turns out that it's actually not better to do that, and the reason why is because Silver Rathalos actually has quite a bit less health than Gold Rathian, so it's in fact easier to aim for Rathalos because he dies faster and then you deal with Rathian at that point. So, yeah, I'm fully on board with that strategy, and that really is the standard. Attack Rathalos first because he's weaker, and then deal with Rathalos. Excuse me. Attack Rathalos first, and then deal with Rathian after the fact. Alright. You... okay. Oops. Meant to throw it in the other direction. That's alright. Bit of a waste, that's all. So we're starting with water, because we are going to be aiming for Rathalos. This guy keeps getting flinched, man. And by this guy, I mean Orion. No, okay. Any other flash bombs coming out? That was not great. I don't really believe in dedicated flash bomb duty when it comes to this quest. Oh, that was actually out of range, shockingly. I felt like that would have been in range, but whatever, I'll take it. The great thing about using this particular loadout is that it is auto-reload, which means that DPS is much higher, and high DPS with this quest is ideal. And that is a dead Rathalos. We can now move on to Thundershots. Of course, Thunder is... well, I think Thunder is ideal for both of them, but water is still viable for Rathalos, so... yeah. Yeah, that's right. Thunder is the primary weakness of both of them in this game. I've talked about it before, it is confusing, I almost forgot, but how it works is that it's Thunder as a primary for both of them in this game. It's equal in Portable Third, and then after that it's Water as a primary for Rathalos, and then Thunder as a primary for Rathian. I'm referring to the Metal Wraths, specifically. So the reason why that hunt was so fucking fast is because there are 3 of us with auto-reload Lao Shan Lung heavy bow guns. Which is quite frankly a disgustingly effective strategy. But, yeah. Tempted to do that again just for fun. Now for those who don't play this game, this is the quest that you do for both rare items from Rathian and Rathalos. They drop very frequently in the rewards. So that refers to both rubies and heavenly scales. to get rid of my shots there so that I had enough space to carve. But yeah, we'll see what we get. Like I said, there's a very good chance for a heavenly scale each time. I've seen people get as many as 4 heavenly scales in one hunt. Perhaps even more than that. I think statistically you can probably get as many as 6. But, yeah, that's absurd. And unlikely. Just the one this time around, and look, 1 heavenly scale and 2 rubies is, quite frankly, very, very good. So, by ordinary standards. It's entirely normal for this quest, but by ordinary standards, very, very good. It would be very difficult to get that if you were hunting a monster on its own. Alright, let's see our next one. No, I'm still on cooldown apparently. What, I need to wait 21 minutes? Why do I need to wait 21 minutes for that fucking thing? Is it oh, come on, is it because I rolled Lao Shan Lung? Is that what it is? Let me check that. If that's the case, that is some of the most absurd shit in the world. It's supposed to stop you from spamming, not from, you know, reselecting if you didn't like it. 20 minutes. I'm gonna message Zach about it. Well, not message him, I'm gonna message him. I probably knew this in the past, but just forgot. But this is absurd. I've absolutely, you know, cried and I've thrown full tantrums at Zach about this fucking cooldown being added. But this is ridiculous. I guess if I'm going to be committed to doing Lao Shan Long, like why the fuck would I? Alright, so next hunt is 2 Hypnoc. Let's see if Zach thinks that's appropriate or not. Let's see if he's reconsidered after all this time. Hopefully he'll look at that with fresh eyes and go, whoa, that's really fucking dumb. Let's fix that. That's my hope. Oh, God. Just extraordinary. Yeah, let's use Teostra's Fire. That's what I'm highlighting, and I actually feel like using it. It's a fun lens. This armor set looks really stupid. But again, it's about effectiveness. I think it's the helmet with the chest piece. It just looks really silly. The chest piece doesn't look good in general, but I suppose you can coordinate it visually. This is not what you would call coordinating it visually, or aesthetically. It looks like a... You look like a... well, not even... someone attending a fancy dress party. You just look like an absolute reject of society. What? Why the slow processing time? Is it an event quest? Maybe some sort of alternative to the standard double Hypnoc, which I'm open to doing. I don't mind. I'm sure Wine has a good alternative in mind. Maybe it's a double Hypnoc where they are stronger. I wouldn't actually be opposed to that. Super Hypnocatrice Brawl. Okay. Presumably they are in one area at the same time. I am open to that. Because if we were to do the standard double Hypnoc quest, it would actually take way too long. Excuse me, the opposite. It would take almost no time at all, and that would be very boring. I don't know why I said literally the polar opposite of that. Anyway, let's put away these Book of Combos, and we will get antidotes. Not because I need antidotes for this hunt, but because I like having them in my inventory, in case I need them in a future hunt. That's the point. I need to actually clarify these things, because otherwise someone's going to say, you don't need antidotes for Hypnocatrice. You see, when I do things like that, I'm not actually quoting any person. Like, people never send me comments like these, or, you know, make remarks of that nature in the Twitch chat. So I don't know why I come across as such a bitter individual when I pretend that there's some sort of legion of people out there making silly comments and recommendations about how to play the game. Alright. They are called Super Hypnocs, so I don't know if they're going to be big or what. I'm actually not familiar with this quest. My guess is that it's actually a Hunsterverse DLC quest. I'm hoping they're not going to be unreasonably large, because if they're unreasonably large, then it just means that I'm not going to be able to save, but looks like that's not the case. I don't really have my heart set on a particular Hypnoc to start with. I'm just going to work on this one. I hate it when they continue with it. Tail swing. The way I'm going to do it is I'm not actually going to look at the other one. I'm just going to be so laser focused on this one that if I take a hit from the other one, so be it. I'm just going to try and be single-minded about it. Yes, I am live indeed. It is this one that I was hitting, but I hope I don't lose sight of the one that I'm actually aiming for. That would be really annoying. I had best... well, I needn't heal, because I've now been healed by someone else. I'm assuming that the sleep attack doesn't actually carry any damage. It's probably just pure sleep. So, the reason why I say that is because if a Hypnoc, you know, breathes a sleep attack on another Hypnoc, that probably doesn't actually result in any damage transmission. Fucking wind pressure. Looks like Tegar is playing with, or hunting with me, teaming up with me, whatever you want to say. If I say playing with me, maybe... actually, that's not suggestive at all. I need to grow up. There we go, got a good knockdown. Head opportunity. You get a good splash with that sleep. It's very easy to get hit by it, but I have not been hit by it, fortunately. No. Jump straight over me. It's a very generous hitbox, that jump attack. The other one's close at hand. Maybe I should just be aiming for the legs for knockdowns, instead of doing these upward attacks into the body. There we go, there's a good knockdown. And we'll hit the face. Beak is broken. Not so worried about breaking parts of the monster so much as just dealing good damage. And that is a dead Hypnoc. And I'd say the other one's not too far behind. Well, that's entirely my fault. I would not blame the gunner for flinching me there. I walked into his shot. Looks like Wine is using a fire gun lance. Also, would have been a fun choice. I finally dropped down to blue sharpness. There we go. Well, I can definitely say that it would have been faster doing the other quest. I mean, if you're going to call them Super Hypno, or Super Hypnocatrice, they must have had increased health, but it didn't really feel like it. Which means that if we were to do the standard one, it just would have been ridiculously fast. Unreasonably so. Part of the reason why it's faster here as well is that we immediately engage the monsters, and they can't actually fly away, so... yeah, naturally you're going to get through it faster for that reason. You don't have to take time pursuing the monsters. I can use a gun lance for the next hunt, I don't mind. Yeah, you guys don't actually see me use gun lance very often, and the reason why is because on this character, which was my... this was the second character that I made in Freedom Unite. I lost my original one back in either late 2011 or early 2012, about that time. I remade this character, and I used Gunlance for pretty much most of the village, and what that means is that I've got a whole lot of Gunlance uses, so I just feel like it's not actually reflective of my preference when it comes to weapons, so I would prefer to not use Gunlance because I already have enough uses with that. It's inaccurate. It's not true that I like Gunlance as much as my guild card would suggest. So, yeah. Let's see what we got next. Oh my god, here we go. Anyway, I like to sound off to Zach about that cooldown. It pisses me off. Yeah, me hating Lao Shanlung. It's not exactly a uniquely Doomlink thing. Alright, so Ukanlos is our next monster, which is fine. I don't mind using a gun lance on Ukanlos. Alright, this is a good conversation. He's approaching it not in like a... not in the spirit that I am. He's taking it quite seriously. It's... Anyway, I didn't actually... I didn't instigate this conversation with the intention of having a serious argument. The reason why is because I've constantly sounded off to him about it in the past, and now I just consider it... I do it in a tongue-in-cheek sort of way, but I'm happy to give him a legitimate response to the question that he asks, which is, if you're going to re-roll, why are you rolling in the first place? It's because I don't want to make the decision But that doesn't mean that I'm going to force myself to do what has been rolled, no matter what. I'm not going to enable the Freedom Unite complete thing. Anyway. So, what am I doing? I am equipping a gun lance as I said I would. It's actually going to end up being the same one that we saw Wine using before. It is the Levaziov gun lance. Well, of course it's anecdotal. Yes, but what I'm saying... I have articulated it. Oh no, my... Shit, what a bad time for my... My mouse died. Let me plug that in. Hold on. Wireless technology. My cursor moving on its own may be distracting. Not specific enough. It is specific enough. What does he mean? Hold on. Let me try to... Sorry. Let me try to make sense of what he really wants to know, because... He's asking for categories, that's what I remember. Reroll categories. Well, I don't really... he's trying to circumnavigate the existence of a cooldown. That has always been my grievance. It has always been my grievance that there's a cooldown. The removal of a cooldown. Here we go. Oh, I see. But I have articulated it. I said that I don't want to do Lao Shan Lung, fairly reasonable, and I don't want the same quest to appear more than once. Arx is participating, although I would at this stage rather that he didn't. The most annoying thing about this is that I have to keep my controller plugged in. I apologize for derailing the live stream, it's just that my light-hearted jabs at Zach for adding the cooldown have been taken quite seriously, and he now wants constructive explanations for why I have a problem, which is fine. It's just that I felt like I gave these in the past. Anyway. Reroll complaint, yes. Hopefully that's enough charge for my mouse for a little while. Yeah, these guys have been patiently waiting for me to finish doing what I'm doing. They probably think that we're not even hunting anymore. Yeah. I just don't understand what he doesn't see. You know, when I very clearly outline the scenario in which I re-roll, like I literally, of course I give him an anecdotal scenario. It's because that is supposed to inform you as to why I would re-roll. He wants a reason for a re-roll. I give an anecdote for a scenario in which I re-roll, and he takes nothing from that. He simply says, that's anecdotal, give a clear description. It's like, well, that is the clear description. It is helpful to re-roll in certain scenarios, and I have given you examples of said scenarios. A question that he asked, which perhaps hasn't been resolved, is why do you roll in the first place if you want to actually re-roll at any time? And the reason is because, well, I don't necessarily have to use precisely what's been, or I don't necessarily have to depart on a quest that has actually been chosen by that command. If it's something that has already appeared recently and we would rather not do it, then you reroll. Anyway. It's just what it is. I've actually killed my my room by having this discussion, which I wouldn't mind if it weren't for the fact that I've had this discussion before, and I really meant it lightheartedly this time around. Let's communicate. Let's try to get this fucking room happening again. Oh my god. His response, like when I said, oh, you're wanting a category, that was my way of making sense of the question he was asking. It's like, well, yes, everyone does love Lao Shanlong. An absolutely enthralling hunt. By the way, Incognito Man, I don't know if you remember me. I'm the person who like, Baines and I were doing a simul stream, and I appealed to you very vocally and in a heartfelt fashion about making excessive changes to Freedom Unite through Freedom Unite Complete. Obviously, everyone appreciates the work that you do with it. I'm actually in two minds about the change that you've made with Lao Shanlong, but I generally approve of it. Not that you are seeking my approval, but yeah, I just thought that to sort of add to the discussion that I had with you at that time, which was many months ago now, I'd say that change is appropriate because I do genuinely think that that's a problem with the game. The idea that if you have a strong team and you reach that health threshold that you need to stand in an area doing nothing for sometimes as long as 15 minutes. I mean, that is absurd. And I do agree that if it is possible to improve that situation, it should be done. I do have a my purist point of view does give me some reservations about that still, but I do appreciate it. I told you back then, be very careful with the power that you possess. Just because you can do it doesn't always mean that you should, but yeah, I do agree with that one. Well, you should make it a toggle. You say people complain about it so much that you ended up making it a toggle, but you see, you have to do that. It's not for you to decide what people prefer, and that's a fact. I can't imagine... Well, you see, I say that, but I haven't even gotten your update, because, to be honest, I don't need that that feature. I don't need to be able to kill Lao Shanlung. Just for people who don't understand what we're talking about, basically Lao Shanlung can be killed in any area within the fortress with the update that Incognito Man made to Freedom Unite Complete. He is the person behind Freedom Unite Complete. The problem with this also is that it's easier to kill him outside of a carb zone, right? So unless you program in thresholds that, you know, like you create a threshold between certain zones, I don't know if that's actually possible, but that has been the biggest issue that I've seen so far with FU Complete. It's been that situation where people miss out on their carbs, and that is a shame, but yeah, it's definitely ideal to make it a toggle, because there are a lot of features with Freedom Unite Complete that people wouldn't want to be excluded from just because you've decided, no, this is definitely something that has to be in Freedom Unite Complete. You either have that or you have nothing. I don't think that's appropriate. I think making it a toggle is the best way to actually go forward with that. Alright, I do have a group here to play with. These guys are so patient, honestly. I do apologize to them for that. There should be Ukanlos. Yes, absolute zero. Happy to see it. Finally ready to do this monster. God. Yes, but that was... No, that's different, Incognito Man, because what you're talking about is that you're comparing a situation where people cannot know the health of the monster with a situation where people do know the health of the monster. When everyone is waiting for that monster to come to the final area, it is known that once he reaches that final area, he's only got a small amount of health left. So it becomes protocol to hold off for a little while. You know, maybe just so he can take a few steps, and then you can start working down that 2000 HP threshold, or that small amount of health that has been left for him. It's a completely different scenario to not actually having a clear idea of when he might die. I mean, I suppose the idea is don't attack him when he's close to moving through areas. I suppose that would be the discipline that would have to be communicated amongst hunters, but it's still, to me, it's not as clean. I think there's a higher chance of there being a problem when he can die literally anywhere versus just in that final area, so yeah. It's more problematic in general. A custom quest where Lao Shanlung actually moves through less of the fortress, actually, to me, is a smarter way of doing it. That is good for two reasons. To start with, it prevents that scenario of having to wait for a long time in the final area, and it also acts as something of a challenge. It's something of a challenge in that the fortress is more likely to be destroyed. So it's a good challenge quest, and for people, or rather groups of people, that are good enough to not actually have it be a challenge, they don't have to worry about the fortress being destroyed. So, yeah, I think that would actually be a better solution, to have a custom quest where he doesn't start from the very beginning, running down the timer. I really should do my live and fire. I did raise my shield there, but it wasn't good enough, apparently. Wasn't good enough. And Mina is dead. Hallelujah. Haven't hunted with Mina in a while, actually. On camera. The thing with Mina, it's quite hilarious, is that he always expects to join whenever I'm playing, but you see, sometimes there are people who've been in the room for a while, and like I can't just remove them for him. But it's more of it's a bad luck thing, because usually when he wants to play, I do have a full room. Yeah. Well, I'm really happy to hear that. I think you've done good work so far. I have not kept up with all of the changes that have been made. I do know that you had implemented something to allow for food eating in the hub, which I'm not that happy about. I mean, they've already got fast travel from room to room or area to area within Pocket Village, so I don't think that's necessary. I think that's going a little too far, but yeah, I'm glad that you're not going too far. I think sometimes the more you add, the more you take away. That's generally how I see it, but I think you've made some good improvements. And I listed them last time we discussed it. What were you planning for Portable Third? I suppose, obviously, you know, the same basic changes such as... Well, no, I already have all DLC preloaded onto mine, so... There's no real DLC benefit that I can think of. Okay, it's a purely translation-focused improvement. I'm happy with that. So aside from some villager text, would you be making changes to some translation? I'm just trying to think what could be improved upon. The quest names are pretty bad. I remember that the quest names are just, in some cases, ludicrous, such as Hunt Wyvern on Desert. I seem to remember that that's the name of the Diablos quest. Hunt Wyvern on Desert. Just brilliant. Well, I'm happy that you're working on Portable Third. That's very good. At this stage, I can't think of what needs to be improved, but there probably are things that need to be improved, and it's good that you're putting the time in. It's not an understatement to say that you are a huge boon to the community, because there aren't many people like you. Probably need to sharpen up soon. In fact, I'll sharpen up now. I do start with purple sharpness with this gun lance. Nope. Bad timing for me when it comes to the paralysis here. I'll aim for the tail. Off target. Yeah, no, that is true. A G rank was definitely planned for Portable Third, but if you were considering trying to make a G rank, that would be very cool. I don't know how you would work that. I suppose you could... Yeah, I suppose there are ways you could do that. But no, not quite. Because then you would need to add a lot of weapons as well. No, I don't think that would be possible. If you've got the willingness to do it, I suppose it's possible. It's just, it has been partially addressed with the Ancient X quests, I think they're called. They're basically G-rank level monsters that you do with high-rank loadouts, because it is still a high-rank game, but as far as including all of these weapons, I suppose it's possible. With enough work, I suppose anything's possible, almost. Well, it's a good goal to have. If you were able to make some kind of functional G rank for Portable Third, then there would be no way to understate the impact that you would have on the traditional community. It would be immense, and you would be... well, you're already very much appreciated, but that would be just on another level, quite frankly. Okay, well, if you can see, that's an entirely different thing. If there are actually files that have not been used, then that's a very different story. That means you don't actually have to make anything. I mean, obviously you need to put them into the game, but they are effectively there. So, well, anyway. I don't want to betray my lack of knowledge, which I do have. Severe lack of knowledge when it comes to what would actually go into making a G rank for the game, but yeah. I do regret the fact that so many people maligned Portable Third. It wasn't always that way. There were people who didn't mind Portable Third, and then there were others who very much enjoyed it. But these days it's like mud in the traditional community. The people who still look upon it fondly, for the most part, are people who don't really play the traditional games anymore. They moved on to the more recent generations and don't go back, which is sad. Such people shouldn't exist, really. There's no reason to stop playing the old games. You can always go back and enjoy them while playing the new games. But it seems that the majority of people that I come across who play the traditional games really have few words of appreciation to give for Portable Third, and I think that's unfair. Some complaints are founded, and then others, I think, are just spurious and poorly thought out. And that is a Ukanlos killed, or an Ukanlos killed. Did I carve the tail? I suppose I did it because I was worried about forgetting to carve the tail in the future. Well, that's extremely exciting. I don't know exactly how much has been worked on for the G rank that never came for Portable Third. I really don't know. Are you saying that there is enough in terms of unused files in Portable Third to create a functional G rank? Because if there is, then to start with, I'm surprised that no one's done it before. And as in before you, and second of all, that's extremely exciting. I find that more exciting than being able to play Monster Hunter Tri online again. Genuinely. Because that's new content, that's stuff I haven't done before. Being able to play Portable Third at the G rank level. That would just be brilliant. I mean, one of the things that I have an issue with when it comes to Portable Third is the lack of replayability, but if there's like a G rank hidden within the game that just needs to be, I don't know, let's say coded in, for lack of a better way to refer to it, then that's extraordinary. Okay. Portable 2nd G had 6,000 files, and Portable 3rd also had 6,000 files. Okay. But only a fifth of it is dummied out, which is to say that only a fifth of it is usable, I suppose is what you're saying? Can you work with that which hasn't been dummied out? Or is that where you start getting into actually making, you know, weapon models from scratch and all of that? I suppose that's what it is, isn't it? It's just, I imagine, when we say files that haven't been dummied out, are they placeholders with, like, no actual data? Or is it actually workable stuff as well, just requiring more work, I guess is the question I would ask. Placeholders without data, okay. Well, I guess that's a shame, but it's still good. It's still exciting, and if there is content that can be added, it should be added. If it ends up creating an incomplete G rank, I don't think that's a problem, because we'll still have the high rank to go back to, which is obviously fully fleshed out in a complete game. But being able to venture into an incomplete G rank, I think, would be fun. Now, you could technically say that... Now, this is where things do get a little bit murky. Is it appropriate to introduce G rank games... Oh, excuse me, G rank weapons for an incomplete G rank of Portable Third into a game balance which is obviously still going to be primarily geared towards high rank? You know, if we've got an incomplete G rank with G rank weapons coming out, are we going to worsen an already existing issue of boosting and carrying people to high rank? I don't know, but yeah. Questions to be asked. Because that is already a significant issue, you know, people just... It's done in Freedom Unite, but there isn't as much of a culture of people calling it out and really ragging on people who get boosted in Portable Third as there is in Freedom Unite. So a lot of people, what ends up happening is they will start Portable Third, there isn't that much content, it's a very easy game, and then they'll have like one or perhaps even two people just carry them right through to the end. They hang around in HR6 for a while, and then they get bored and then they leave. It's actually detrimental to the community and adds nothing. Now, if people are going to be running around with G rank level weapons, on top of that, it's just going to worsen it. That's the way I see it. So it's uncertain. Yeah. I'd say G rank level weapons probably wouldn't be... I don't think Zach would permit that on Hunsterverse just because of how it would create an imbalanced experience when playing online. Oh god. Apparently, Mina managed to get 2 heavenly scales from that hunt. Actually, it's not that impressive, to be honest. It's Ukanlos. Alright, do we have a new hunt? It looks like Wine is taking care of the rerolls. We've got Black Diablos, Black Gravios, and Nargacuga. Excuse me. Pride on the Line is the name of the quest. It's probably going to be an epic quest, which means that it'll be in an environment, not in an arena or anything like that. Is there a common weakness here? Not really. So I'll probably use... Let's use the Pirate J Sword. It fucking sucks, but it's fun. I guess you could say. Do I have an ESP loadout? I don't think I have one, which is extraordinary, but I actually don't think I do. No, I'm not going to use that. I don't want to be forced to hit the stomach of the Gravios. How about we use the popcorn? Haven't used that recently. At least I don't think so. Oh no, I did use it at one point, in a previous quest that I did in my last Freedom Unite recording. I think so, anyway. Oh. If it is an arena quest, then that just means... Look, I wasn't sure rugged dress code. The way I phrased it was more as a question rather than saying that's precisely what it is. I don't know what it is. We're going to find out. If you're right, and it is an arena quest, then that's what it is. Pride on the Line. It's G3 star. Let's have a look. Oh, okay. That's my mistake. For some reason, I thought that epic quests could only be in an environment, not within an arena. I stand corrected on that point. Don't know how I managed to forget that. It's what happens when you play too many different Monster Hunter games, doesn't it? Alright, Black Diablos, Black Gravios, Nargacuga. Nargacuga is a bit of an outlier in that list of monsters, but... Anyway. But yeah, I'm happy to use popcorn here. Using a gun lance twice in a row maybe isn't that enjoyable for me. But... See, I hadn't even considered that. But because I hadn't considered that, I suppose I shouldn't be sitting here complaining, because apparently it's not a problem. I wouldn't have assumed that popcorn would be a good idea if that were actually a concern. That was a bit of a gibberish sentence. I apologize. Right. Well, the majority of epic hunt quests are actually in an environment. The reason why I look at it that way is because if I see multiple monsters, I suppose maybe in 3rd and 4th gen, for example, it is fairly often a quest in an arena. I guess 3rd gen in particular. I'm thinking of 3 Ultimate. But in the case of this game, maybe it's not as common. But the epic quests in my mind are just, you know, multi-monster hunts that are usually in an environment outside the arena. Oh, I forgot to eat. How the fuck did I manage that? Don't know. At any rate, like I said, in regards to a modded, gently modded, I suppose, Monster Hunter Portable 3rd, it would be beneficial to the game, I'm sure. Just something to improve upon it. It's always felt a little bit unfinished. It's never had a complete translation. The translation has improved over time, obviously. It's been updated with translations made in Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. It's actually as recent as that, which is nice. I think the last translation was 2013, 2014, something like that. So, it's good that they updated it to that point. When Portable 3rd came out, I did play on one of the original English translations. I played in Japanese initially, and then when some English translations came out, I tried those. They were pretty confusing, but obviously not as confusing as reading Japanese when you can't read or understand Japanese. So, yeah, there have been improvements, but still you do have some strange translations here and there, and on top of that you've got dialogue that hasn't been translated, literally untranslated dialogue. So, getting a more complete translation would be beneficial. And, yeah, I'm sure there are other things that can be improved as well. Why don't I have capacity up here? Why would I not have capacity up? That's an interesting oversight. Oh well. Maybe... yeah, it has guts as well, so this was definitely intended to be used as like a Fatalis popcorn gunning loadout. Look, to be honest, when you've only got 2 shots, capacity up makes a difference, you know? Like, that's a notable increase in DPS. Which, to be honest, is not counterbalanced by the increased... like, what is this? Guard skills? I would rather actually give up my guard +1 and instead have capacity up. It's probably not that simple. Anyway, I might look into improving this armor set. My original armor set had capacity up, but I had to remake this, as previously explained in other videos. I'm not surprised people made a better patch, or excuse me, I'm not surprised people didn't make a better patch, and the reason why is because I think interest in Portable 3rd had waned by the time a more complete patch could have been made. I think the desire for the translator to actually improve on the original translation probably made it so that they couldn't make an actual complete one. And, you know, I relate to the fact that people working on these projects do eventually lose interest in them. It has to be understood, obviously, that the Monster Hunter community doesn't have people who mod, people who translate. They do exist, but there aren't many of them. I mean, just look at Monster Hunter DOS. So, I mean, it's only been within the last 2 or 3 years that we've had a proper Monster Hunter DOS translation. There was one in the past. It was just so horrendously bad and had no Monster Hunter knowledge attached to it. It was like it was written by someone who had never seen a Monster Hunter game before. You know, it doesn't surprise me at all that Portable 3rd has not had much attention. So it's just the nature of the community. It's not a bad thing necessarily. I guess you could say it's unfortunate, but it doesn't surprise me. There is a DOS translation. It is still a work in progress, but it's basically complete. If you're familiar with the Portable 3rd translation, you can be assured of the fact that it's about as good as the current Portable 3rd translation for Monster Hunter DOS. So, it's done by someone named Yuzu. I think her name is Yuzuchi. Something along those lines. And, yeah, it's a great translation. Proper translation. Like I said, still being worked on here and there. Being brushed up and improved upon. But it's very good. You say you were waiting on a handful of translations for Freedom Unite Complete Incognito, but I was under the impression that Portable 2nd G had already been fully translated. Am I wrong about that? Or was that translation just not good? I guess we're mostly referring to the weapons that appear as dummy in Freedom Unite. And I seem to remember that 2nd G had a full translation. Anyway. Yeah, not at all happy with this double shooting business. It's very awkward. I do need to do a Wyvern Fire soon. Apparently, weapons, items, armor, and events were not fully translated. Okay. Fair enough. I never played Portable 2nd G before Freedom Unite Complete, so I'm not really in a position to say one way or the other. That's just what I assumed, because I had seen people playing Portable 2nd G, and it looked like there was an English translation. Maybe what happened was only that which had been translated for Freedom Unite was actually ported over to Portable 2nd G. But I seem to think in the past that it had been done independent of the official translation, but whatever. I'm probably wrong. Ooh. Wait, I have Garn up. What am I doing? Sorry, Garn skill increase. That's the official term. Monster number 2 is Gravios. They seem to be putting up a good fight, despite having reduced health, as they are all one of 3 monsters. Oh, the Portable 2nd G translation uses Freedom 2 as a base. Okay. Why would it use Freedom 2 as a base? Is it because the translation was made before Freedom Unite came out? I suppose so. I suppose that does make sense. Alright. Part of me feels like there would have been enough of a desire for people to want access to the Japanese DLC quests. It makes sense that people would want access to those, but apparently there wasn't enough interest to facilitate a proper translation. Whatever. Well, while nothing would have changed, you would think that a translation would have been updated for Freedom Unite for people who wanted to continue playing 2nd G, but I suppose not. Going to what I said before, I suppose I shouldn't be surprised that the community has not provided a better service for these Japanese games. And here's our friend the Nargacuga. I'm glad that I'm... Oh, actually, I'm not the only person going Blade Master. Sorry if I hit you, Mina. I don't intend to, obviously. This is going to be slightly annoying. I suppose because this monster, for the most part, is not going to cause me to bounce, I will unsheath my weapon by attacking. Of course, the reason why, when you're using the popcorn, it's generally better to unsheath by going into a guard like that, is because your weapon is pretty low sharpness, so you're likely to bounce. And it's safer to be guarding than being stuck in a bouncing animation generally, so I don't think it's going to be faster to go into a guard. It may actually be faster, but I think there's a general rule of it being safer to guard, so you just do that. But under these circumstances, oh, never mind. I was about to say, under these circumstances, I'm probably not going to bounce, but it turns out I'm bouncing somewhere around the neck/head. I was thinking it was just going to be the wings that were armored, but I was incorrect. That's all right. Hello, Rathalos. I don't know if I'll be able to find an appropriate time to use Wyvern Fire. I may place down a trap, not that we particularly need to do that, it's just that I'd like to get my Wyvern Fire out, and I don't have much confidence in my ability to be able to get it out unless I have this monster in a trap. Sorry. That's my weakness. Get over here. What are you doing, man? I suppose he's just focusing on surviving at the moment, but no, he's not focusing on surviving. He's being a hero and playing like he's the only person in the room. He's under a considerable misapprehension, if so. Trying not to hit Mina there. Did it hit him? Fucking hell, I actually tried to turn it away from him. And that's a dead Nargacuga. Oh, very good. I'll do one more hunt. Surprisingly, I haven't actually needed to do or make an edit in this live stream. Not that I'm going to be making edits here and now, I just mean that as far as the VOD is concerned, it won't be necessary to edit anything because, yeah, there hasn't actually been a whole lot of downtime. I guess you could technically say the discussion that I had with Zach on Hunsterverse was a bit of downtime, but it was still informative, I suppose. Yeah, I don't know if he got anything out of that. I would have rather have that conversation when I was not live so that it could have been a little more meaningful. And again, as I said before, it spawned out of what was honestly just tongue-in-cheek tantrum throwing. But, anyway. Oh, that's a pretty good ending shot. Could you define flavor text for me? I can get an idea for what it means just by the phrase, but it may actually mean something in code, I don't know. Alright, one more hunt. Looks like we've got a hunt rolled. It is Child of Destruction, that's a little bit boring. Oh, I see. So flavor text, which is to say, text that has been specifically written for every individual weapon, I guess. When I think of that, I immediately think of weapon descriptions, and I can see that. For instance, in Japanese, a lot of the subspecies for monsters are generically named, whereas for the translations of Monster Hunter into English, going right back to first generation, and definitely by third generation this was the case, all of the subspecies had their own unique description in their name. So that doesn't surprise me at all. But, yeah, if you look at weapon descriptions, every single one of them are unique, so, yeah. So, what is it? Child of Destruction. What do I want to use? Might bring a greatsword, hey? Wait, no, I don't want to do that. Yeah, I don't have the Kushala greatsword yet on this character. Not that I need to use that. I could just use the King Atalart's sword. King Atalart's sword. But, no, I won't do that. I've got some sort of strange aversion to that weapon at the moment. I don't even want to look at it. I'm so sick of this monster that almost anything that I equip is distasteful. There's nothing that's going to make this fun, is what I'm trying to say. Let's, actually, you know what? Hunting Horn. That'll make it fun. I could just focus on playing my music instead of hunting the fucking monkey. Ice. Here we go. Ukanlos flute. Well, that's good to know. I've heard of the term flavor text before, but I hadn't actually identified the meaning of it. But yeah, it's interesting to consider that all of this flavor text actually was not written originally in the Japanese, and the reason why is because there may be lore implications for some of this. Which is, not that I get into the lore of Monster Hunter, a lot of it's obviously founded in first generation and maybe in some small part second generation, but it seems that when it comes to the lore of Monster Hunter, and I don't want to sound misinformed or uninformed, but it seems that a lot of it is first generation in origin and didn't really persist beyond that. But, yeah, if people are focused on lore, maybe there are, you know, pieces of text that were not originally in the Japanese version, that were added in translations that may have actually caused people to assume that there was something within the lore that wasn't actually there. I don't know. It's possible. I don't get into the minutiae of that side of Monster Hunter. What was the quest selected? It was Child of Destruction. What joy. Oh, never mind, it's already been posted. Yes, sir. It doesn't really matter who hosts anyway. This is an excellent point. Is Black Diablos being female English lore? Thank you for that example. That's precisely what I mean. Like, that's just something that is accepted. It's just known. Yeah, Diablos is female. I seem to, Black Diablos is female. I seem to remember as well, there was like the twin princesses or something for Diablos back in Monster Hunter Tri, and they were standard Diablos monsters, and because of that quest name, myself, as well as most of the Tri players, assumed that Diablos was a female monster, and then we had to be corrected by the people who actually paid attention to these details. And they said, no, it's only Black Diablos. Black Diablos is guaranteed to be female, whereas standard Diablos can be both male and female. Not that I particularly care, but it's just the name of that quest in Tri was something like the Twin Princesses, and that caused a little bit of confusion. But yeah, that's definitely worth mentioning. A translation team, quite frankly, are not in a position to dictate the lore of Monster Hunter. That's a fact. So, yeah, it probably... If the goal is immersion, that's fine. I think that's an appropriate goal. But if it has an unintended effect of misleading people who actually care about the lore, that might be pretty sad and disappointing for those people to actually learn that, oh, this is not from the creators of Monster Hunter, this is just a random translation team's flavor text. Well, I shouldn't say random translation team, but, you know, they are not the people who are writing the background context behind the game that we're playing. Wine is here. Do we have our fourth hunter? It's Orion. He says thank you for the hunts, so that to me suggests that he's not going to return. So... But yeah, I'm not one to focus on or care about the Monster Hunter lore, because I don't really take interest in video game lore. I like video games that give the impression that there is meaning behind what's going on, which is to say, there's a story, there's a setting, there's a scenario that I'm engaging with, but I don't like to get into the details of the story. If I want to engross myself in a story, like a comprehensive telling of a story, I'll go and read a book, or read a manga, or watch an anime, or something like that. You know, I don't get it from my video games. Most of what I like about video games is the process of playing the video game. The story, for me, is really only helpful in setting the scene and giving a little bit of meaning to what I'm doing. You know, I don't care about details, necessarily. Is Lao Shanlung running from Fatalis English lore? Oh no. We must question everything. Look, I would say that that's probably Japanese. In fact, I would say that's definitely Japanese. I'd put money on that one. Proper lore. Looks like we're not actually going to get another person, which draws into question my choice of weapon. I might have to go damage. Oh well. Bread Yeezers, I didn't put forth the example as factual. I gave the example just to illustrate my point, but yeah. I didn't know, I had no idea. The question was raised by Rugged Dress Code, and I said, well, that's exactly right. Like, what if that were the case? But Bread Users can be, yeah, well, don't phrase it in that way. Because then I have to clarify further if you go to the trouble of phrasing it in that way. But, yeah, of course, I used it as nothing more as an example. Nothing more than an example. But, yeah, it turns out it is actually real Japanese lore that Black Diablos is a Diablos in heat. A female Diablos in heat. Alright, let's, I'm going to use Sword and Shield. Poison Sword and Shield. Royal Rose. I've eaten, right? Years. Good. Well, the idea of Lao Shanlung running away from Fatalis is only ridiculous in that Lao Shanlung is much bigger than Fatalis, but that's always been part of the mystique attached to Fatalis for me, it's because it is accepted that Fatalis is essentially the king of Elder Dragons. And yet he's this nondescript black dragon, and there are many Elder Dragons that are physically larger than he is. So it's interesting that he is treated in that way, and that a larger Lao Shan Lung would fear Fatalis. I like that. I don't think it's silly or absurd or far-fetched or somehow immersion-breaking. I think it's the opposite. I think it's curious. It adds to the mystique of the Fatalis monster. I don't know what wine is doing. I would actually much rather Mina not use a paralysis weapon. But fine. So what's he got? We're both using poison, but the thing is he's also got high raw damage, so it's not an issue that we're doubling up on poison here. Okay, let's do, I might bring some combination materials for traps. Just because I would like to do that. Is it Genprey Fang and Trap Tool? Or is it... No, it's probably Thunderbug and Trap Tool, isn't it? I don't actually know. I've forgotten. Let's find out. It is... No, it is Genprey Fang. Okay. Very good. And I should already have a shock trap, yes. Alright, let's go. I'm happy to do 3 man. This is just going to be the last hunt anyway. So. Better not to take the trouble of coming here. Dress code. Ugh. Preparing quest. So, Child of Destruction, just to explain this for the benefit of people who don't know, it is a monster that is considered special. It is not a standard sort of hunt. It is a Rajang that is different from the standard. It is, in fact, Furious Rajang, but he's treated differently. He doesn't have a different name. He doesn't give different rewards, or rewards that can only be acquired from this particular version of Rajang. But he does have, you know, the same... Okay, so what is... Can't think of how to describe it. Basically, the similarities between Furious Rajang and Gold Rajang here are that he starts off enraged, and when he actually becomes enraged properly, he's at what you could consider a 3rd level of being enraged. Oh god. I was actually ducking underneath it by placing the trap, which is kind of funny. Yeah, people appropriately call him Super Saiyajin 2 Raja. That's probably always been the case, to be honest. I would guarantee that it was always intended for there to be a comparison drawn between Dragon Ball and this monster. It has to be a reference. Like, how could you... Unless the point of influence is the same for this monster and Dragon Ball. Like, maybe it's not a purely unique idea to have an electric monkey. I don't know. Well, not electric. You know, turning gold, I guess is what I mean. But, yeah, golden monkey. I don't want to hear it, Ethan. You like Diablos. That totally invalidates any issue you have with this monster. No. But, look, I think Rajang is annoying, but well-designed in how he is annoying. Whereas in the case of Diablos, that monster can just fuck off. But you actually like Diablos. I'd say that, in the case of Rajang and Diablos, they are equivalents for you and I, Ethan. But, yeah. It's just interesting to me that you can't tolerate this monster, but you can somehow tolerate Diablos. That's really weird to me. I do specifically mean Diablos in 3rd and 4th generation. I don't find Diablos to be even close to being a challenge in 1st and 2nd. I suppose Black in Freedom Unite is hard. Black Diablos in Freedom Unite can be pretty rough. Just the speed and damage of that monster is really extraordinary, but yeah. What is going on, guys? Fucking hell. The problem with this is that DPS is just terribly affected when you get 2 people dying like this. Well, I think Rajang has a clear design. If you're going to cite clear design as a reason for liking Diablos, then that has to apply to this monster as well. I think Rajang's very well designed. Look, I will always be happy to admit that Diablos is a well-designed monster. It's just that the annoyance factor in regards to Rajang and Diablos, for some reason, I don't mind the annoyance factor with Rajang, but I fucking despise the process of hunting Diablos. It just annoys me. Oh, that's not great. It was a well-placed trap, it's just not great that I'm this fucking far away from the monster. Again, we are one feint away from failure. We're not going to be trying it a second time because this is going to be my last time. I've decided that I don't need for this live stream to end with success. It's absolutely not required at all. And, yeah, if we fail, that's it. That's it, my friends. I'm going to let him attack the face, I think. Maybe he's not going to attack the face. I just don't want to be flinched by Mr. Longsword Man. I managed to roll through the first of the swinging punches of the monster and then got hit by a second one. What's he fucking doing? He's leaving. Ugh. Who's got the patience is the question. Certainly not me. But yeah, when you've only got 3 hunters and all but fucking one of them is actually engaging the monster and the rest are at camp and running back, it does affect team DPS, as I'm sure you can appreciate. So it will be a bit of a slower hunt, but that's alright. We are dealing poison damage, and that's good passive damage, and it actually hurts him a lot, so... Or should do, anyway. Well, Aran, it is fairly typical these days, but I guess... Well, it's typical if you actually want to watch Freedom Unite live, but... Maybe not as typical among general Monster Hunter players. Not as many people playing Freedom Unite these days. Oh, bad timing. Gotta stay very still. One thing to note about Rajang here is that the width of his thunder beam is wider than it actually appears visually. Bit out of range though. I might sharpen up. I may as well. It's speed sharpening. I shouldn't be doing that. Why do I... It's such an obvious thing that he's going to do. He always jumps back after doing attacks like that. He's not guaranteed to, but he very often does, and so I'm putting myself in harm's way very stupidly by standing behind him. It's lazy. Would like just to be able to hit you a little bit more consistently. I suppose I do have a solution to that, don't I? Let's implement that solution now. Stop being so big. You create too much tremor. Oh, don't hit me. Fuck. That was very close. I've signaled to the team if we could maybe line up with the trap. I'll have to get away from Mr. Demon Dance. God, that does not last very long. The second one's been placed, interestingly. Get into it. What happened? Oh, unless there was a glitch and for some reason the trap I had placed down did not immediately disappear. I guess that's possible. I just assumed that someone... Oh, for Christ's sake. Oh, that's painful. That's alright. As I said, this live stream doesn't have to end with success. Anyway. It is what it is. I do thank you all for watching. It has been over 2 hours now. I shall conclude the live stream. I'll see you next time I'm recording Monster Hunter. Hope you enjoyed, and I bid you all farewell for now. Bye-bye.